guys, it's Gabby, and today is day 6 of the BOOKTUBEATHON, and today's video challenge is to go on a literary road trip. So I'm going to be showing you some of my favorite fictional and realistic settings from some of my favorite YA books. So let's get started. So the first stop on my literary road trip will be none other than my hometown in Chicago, and I would be visiting Amity headquarters from the Divergent series. Amity would be my chosen faction, so I would love to see their headquarters just because it sounds really cool and really fun, and the way that the movie put it out there for all of us and displayed it was really, really pretty. And although Insurgent was probably the worst YA book to movie adaptation in all of history, it's still, the shots and everything were really pretty, regardless of the fact that a lot of it was green screens. But I really would like to see Amity headquarters how Veronica Roth pictured it, because I think it's just a really great place and we don't really get to see a lot of it in the books. So I think it would be fun to explore in the city of Chicago, which is my hometown. I've been there a lot and I know a lot of the places, so I think it'd be fun to explore the fictional setting that takes place in the dystopian version of Chicago. So the next place that I would visit on my literary road trip is New York City from Cassandra Clare's The Mortal Instruments series. I have never been to New York, but I'm hoping to go at the end of May for BEA, and when I go to New York, I would love to go to the Strand and Books of Wonder and get to explore all the literary places of New York, as well as Times Square and the Richard Rodgers Theater, and see some of the stops from Hamilton, and just really get to be in the city because it is the greatest city in the world. So I'd love to fully get to explore it, as well as explore some of the stops from Cassandra Clare's series, because it's my favorite literary series of all time. So how would I not want to see some of the stops from the book? So the final 2 realistic places that I will be talking about are outside of the country. The first is Amsterdam from John Green's The Fault in Our Stars, and I feel like anybody who has read this book has automatically wanted to go and visit Amsterdam, because John Green is such a beautiful writer and such a poetic writer. So when you read some of these scenes that take place in Amsterdam, they're just so beautiful and so amazingly well written that it automatically makes you want to visit Amsterdam. And the movie is such another great thing because you get to see it visually put in front of you, and the way that it's filmed is so beautiful, and it just draws you 10 times more to Amsterdam, and I would just love to visit there. And it has been one of my favorite places outside the country that I would love to go to if I ever got the chance, because John Green just writes it so beautifully and so uniquely that you automatically just fall in love with it. And I would love to go to the restaurant that Hazel and Gus went to and drink the stars and eat the food, because that whole scene for me was really what drew me to Amsterdam, because it's so beautifully written and just such a fun and unique scene in this book, and one of my favorite scenes in the book, that I would love to get to relive that experience, except me actually being there and not just watching the movie or reading the book. Well, the final realistic place that I would be visiting is London from Me Before You, and the city that this book takes place in isn't named. It's just said to be a small town. But when I saw the movie, the way that they filmed everything, it just sounds like a really pretty place to be, with the castle, and just the way that you get to actually see it visually with the movie is really, really beautiful and really unique. And I think it would be fun to get to visit London and to go to some of the places that Will and Louisa go to and get to have that whole experience, maybe even with them. I think it'd be fun to get to see some of the stops from the movie because it's so beautifully filmed, and I think that's something that would just be really fun to hit at if I ever was outside of the country. The final 2 places that I'll be going to on my literary road trip are fictional, which means that I technically could never be able to actually visit them, but if you're going to go on a literary road trip, you gotta visit some fictional places. So I will be including 2 of them in my literary road trip. So the first place that I'll be going to is one that I can now actually officially say that I'll be able to go to because I've started reading some of the books, and that is Hogwarts from Harry Potter. So I, as all of you know, have started Harry Potter during the BOOKTUBEATHON, and now that I've actually got to learn about Hogwarts and understand like platform 9 3/4 and where all these things come from the book, of course I would want to go to Hogwarts. Everybody and their mother has said that they have wanted to go to Hogwarts on BookTube, and I was never one of the people that could say that because I never read the books. And now that I've read the books, or at least gotten started into them, of course I would love to go to Hogwarts. I think it would be so much fun to go through the sorting ceremony and learn about all these spells and get to go on all these adventures, and just to even get to be at Hogwarts, because obviously it's an amazing, amazing place and one of the best places in the literary world, which is why it made J.K. Rowling so successful. But yes, I can officially say that I want to go to Hogwarts, and it feels great, even though I'm just barely at the tip of the iceberg, and I'm really excited to explore this world even more, and I know that by the time I finish the series, I'll probably would sacrifice 9 limbs to go to Hogwarts. So the final place that I'll be visiting on my literary road trip is Oz, from the Dorothy Must Die series by Danielle Page. Now this version of Oz is flipped upside down, so it's not the regular version of Oz, but I still think it'd be really fun to get to go to this twisted version, because the regular version of Oz, you really don't get to see a lot much outside of like all of the characters that you meet, like Dorothy and the Tin Man and the Scarecrow and the Lion. You really don't get to see much outside of that. Whereas in Danielle Page's books, you get to learn more about the monkeys and you get to learn more about the witches. Like, you get to see a lot more stuff and get to explore Oz a lot more than you actually do in the Wizard of Oz movie. So I'd love to get to go and explore this place more, because it's so iconic in the literary world that I think it would be fun to get to explore a twisted version of it, especially because it's so uniquely written. So that is it for my 6th challenge in the BOOKTUBEATHON. I hope you guys enjoyed that video and that you learned more about me and the fictional places that I would like to visit in the literary world. So, to talk about my reading progress really quickly, I have started Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets today, which is the 2nd book in the Harry Potter world, and I am more than halfway through. I am 190 pages in, and I'm on chapter 11, and of course I'm loving Harry Potter. How could I not love it? And I'm really glad that I'm getting into this world, because I should have read it 9 million years ago, so I'm glad to finally be starting it now and hopefully finish the series before November. So I'll definitely be keeping you guys updated after the BOOKTUBEATHON, but that's pretty much it for my reading progress for today. So that is it for the 6th day of the BOOKTUBEATHON. I hope you all had an amazing 6th day and that you read a lot and that you got to complete a lot more of your challenges and did some of the video challenges and are just having an overall amazing BOOKTUBEATHON. And I will see you all tomorrow for the final video challenge. Goodbye!